to our post-Cabinet press briefing for this week. Cabinet met yesterday, the 16th of September 2014, and coming out of that Cabinet meeting, the head of the Presidential Secretariat and Secretary to the Cabinet, Dr. Roger Luncheon, will bring you highlights on a number of matters Cabinet wish to bring to the public's attention through you, the media, after which we will entertain questions on your opening statement. And I rather suspect today that we would not have enough time to go outside questions on other matters. So I will hand you over to Dr. Roger Luncheon at this time.
Thank you, Kwame, and good morning again, ladies and gentlemen of the media. We met at Cabinet yesterday on the 16th. Arising from that meeting, these are the matters I would be bringing to yours and the public's attention. As usual, Cabinet and its no objections to the awards of contracts. 2, progress despite uncertainties, and this is electoral issues. ARRG, Americans Region Review Group, the targeted review of Guyana by FATF. This is an update. And then for the snippets, Public Transportation Initiative and the Diplomatic Roundup. As usual, I'll start with the contracts for which Cabinet granted its no objections. In the education sector, award for a contract that was tender opened on the 9th, on Tuesday, June the 10th. And this is for the supply and the delivery of dietary supplies to President's College. And that was to the aggregate tune of $30.8 million Guyana dollars. These are annual sums, $30.8 million Guyana dollars. Public Works, and this is the procurement of a mobile asphalt plant. As you know, the Demerara Harbor Bridge has responsibilities for the fixed asphalt plant, and they are now acquiring a mobile asphalt plant, and that is at a cost of $109,000 US. Our computation, $21.8 million Guyana dollars. $21.8 million Guyana dollars. The security sector, a tender that was opened on Tuesday, the 8th of July, and it's for the construction of a brick prison. Construction of a brick prison. And this is at 12 Camp Street, Georgetown, at a cost of $81.7 million Guyana dollars. $81.7 million Guyana dollars. In health, a tender opened on August the 5th, 2014, and it dealt with the construction of the nurses' hostel. Construction of the nurses' hostel. And this is at the Kokwani Hospital in the Upper Borbis River, Region 10, at a cost of $29.7 million Guyana dollars. Construction of a nurses' hostel at Kokwani Hospital, nurses' hostel, $29.7. Finally, GCOM. A tender opened on Tuesday, August the 19th. The procurement of four 4x4 double cab pickup. Four 4x4 double cab pickups, and that is at a cost of $25.8 million Guyana dollars. $25.8 million Guyana dollars. Those, my friends, contracts for which Cabinet granted its no objections to the awards. We now move on to other matters. Progress despite uncertainty, and this has to do with electoral issues. Cabinet discussed and continued its discussion on the uncertainties that prevailed as it concerns the electoral issues of the day. It was Cabinet's contention, and one strongly felt that despite the notion of uncertainty that seemingly exists and is being pondered to out there, that both the administration and the political opposition know precisely and are clear in their minds about what is said to be uncertain. It is Cabinet's contention that both general elections and local government elections cannot be held at the same time, and therefore the decision on the primary attention to be given to either is essentially the basis for the uncertainty. But both the administration and the political opposition are well aware of those factors that would provide the information that will allow either party, either side, to be more inclined to have local government as opposed to general elections as the primary electoral event in any electoral calendar. In essence, whilst there may very well be uncertainty, it is our Cabinet's contention that really the decision as to whether it is local government elections or it is general elections, either one, definitely not both, that decision and the factors that contribute to that decision is in the possession of all sides. The cabinet of the governing PPP Civic is still awaiting the leader of the opposition, Mr. Granger's response to the request for clarity, essentially for Mr. Granger to put in writing, in the same vein as his correspondence to the president outlining the 15th of September as, maybe we should say, the drop-dead date for declaring local government elections and the date for local government elections. And in the face of APNU's renewed commitment to the no confidence motion, which, if all things remain equal, and the parliamentary opposition remains connected, committed to the result of that motion, general elections in 3 months is inevitable after the resolution, the passage of that motion. Mr. Granger has not, as yet, put pen to paper and attempted a response to the president's request. But Cabinet did note efforts in the media, displayed prominently in the media and in our communities, of a character that seemed to suggest APNU intends to have their cake and eat it. That on the face, both local government elections, they're the champions, and they are party with AFC in a no confidence motion in the Ramatar's administration. While that is going on, though, the PPP Civic Administration, the PPP Civic Party Cabinet noted, saw two developments for which they were appreciative. One had to do with the extension of the claims and objection period, which was extended on the request by the PPP. And the second one, more recently, in response to the argument by the PPPC that there needed to be more confidence among stakeholders in the electoral process, and that confidence had to be cultivated by GCOM in its electoral readiness and preparedness. Cabinet was appreciative of the pledges made by the delegation from the European Union to, by November the 1st, have in office, assuming functions in the IT section in GCOM and AGITA, a joint international technical assessor, to overview a sort of an expanded internal electoral observer. Those two interventions by GCOM in association with donors, those two interventions, Cabinet had and Cabinet expressed its appreciations. ARRG, the Americans Region Review Group, and this is the targeted review of by FATF money laundering matters. Cabinet yesterday approved the composition of the delegation that would be journeying to Florida, USA, for the meeting with the members of the Americans Region Review Group, or Review Group, the members who are conducting the targeted review of Guyana, and specifically Guyana's compliance with the anti-money laundering obligations under CFATF and FATF. Having failed consistently to obtain parliamentary opposition support for the enactment of updated compliant CFATF legislation, Guyana, as you would recall, was referred to the June 2014 plenary of FATF that was held in Paris, where Presidential Advisor Gail Teixeira represented Guyana, the outcome of which was the targeted review by the Americas Region Review Group. The team whose composition was approved by Cabinet included the Attorney General and the Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nanlal, the Financial Intelligence Unit Head, Paul Gear, the Special Organized Crime Unit Head, Assistant Commissioner Sidney James, and FIU Legal Advisor Alicia Williams. The Presidential Advisor Teixeira took the opportunity presented during the consideration of the composition of the team to update Cabinet on the continued failure to have the parliamentary opposition members of the Parliamentary Special Select Committee on the amended anti-money laundering bill to meet. Our latest effort for October the 10th meeting of the PSSC had failed. Public Transportation Initiative. Minibus operators and owners have thrown down the gauntlet to the government. Unilaterally, they have introduced fare increases in Georgetown. Those fare increases have been rejected out of hand by the Ministry of Tourism, Industry, and Commerce, and commuters have been urged not to pay the increases. Bilateral engagements have been held with the organization that purportedly represent the interests of operators and owners. And those engagements have all been unavailing. A report tendered to Cabinet by Minister Irfan Ali. The golden yardstick, Minister Ali pointed out, of $1,000 per gallon for fuel had not been breached, and it was the ministry's contention that therein the basis for increases did not exist. The cost of fuel remained below $1,000 per gallon. As was said, reasoning with the owners and the operators and their representatives is an activity of little benefit. Consequently, commuters who have refused to pay the increased fares have essentially flocked and taken up residence at the car parks, at the bus parks, and government has decided to intervene by providing free services for commuters on the East Coast, East Bank, and over the river on the bank and on the coast. Cabinet, in discussing what happens next, agreed that over the next 2 weeks, continued discussions with representatives of owners and operators, a review of the situation as it affects the commuters, the compilation of those reports would allow Cabinet to make determinations about the continuation of this program. In essence, would the provision of free transportation continue after Cabinet would have considered the compiled reports of 2 weeks of operations of this initiative? So big buses are back in operations on those corridors in the east, going south, and in the west over the river. And the review process is promised within 2 weeks. Diplomatic roundup. Cabinet approved the grant of its agreement for the appointment of His Excellency Dr. Lutz Hermann Georgens. And Dr. Georgens would be the new non-resident ambassador extraordinaire and plenipotentiary of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Republic of Guyana. Dr. Georgens will be resident in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the matters I wanted to bring to your attention. And as I spoke, I entertained additional thoughts, and indeed, I would be prepared not only to respond to questions, requests for clarification of matters in my opening statement, but I would be willing to also entertain topical issues brought to my attention by you, the members of the media. Thank you.
Adam Harris, Prime News. Sir, the anti-money laundering legislation has been in the National Assembly for the longest while. And to the best of our knowledge, there was no recent attempt to get it out of there. And the review is back. Now, why wasn't there anything to get it out of the Special Select Committee over the past few months?
Well, I would say this. The tendency, not only for parliamentarians, particularly part-time parliamentarians, which is the rule in the English-speaking Caribbean, the tendency is when there's a recess that this is a full-fledged recess. Parliamentarians, and I've recently discovered members of staff in the Parliament office, also look forward to August I don't know, I think it's either the 8th or the 10th or the 9th, whenever it is. But they all look forward and they all make plans that are consummated as soon as the recess begins. So there ain't nobody to meet nowhere during August to October. So that is the background. I must admit that there are and there have been occasions when there has been departures from the norm, and indeed parliamentary activities have taken place. Parliamentary delegations have voyaged overseas during the recess, and by members, MPs, who are otherwise on recess. But the background is there, And even when, and this is important, even when a recess was not in place or impending, even during those times, Presidential Advisor Teixeira repetitively reported to Cabinet on the extreme difficulties she continued to encounter in programming or attempting to program meetings of the Parliamentary Special Select Committee on the amended bill. This thing like pulling teeth. It is clear that the parliamentary opposition is most disinclined to seeing progress, to meeting at the level of the PSSC on the bill to see it progress through the subcommittee and eventually get back to the floor of Parliament. And therein lies the difficulty. It has not been, as far as we are concerned at Cabinet, it has not been a beneficiary of supportive efforts by the parliamentary opposition, and frankly speaking, its presence in the Parliamentary Special Select Committee seems to be a presence there of some long gestation.
Dr. Luncheon, sir, could you say what will be the major focus of the team that will be going to Florida, and when exactly is the meeting going to be held? And thirdly, what is government still leaning at this time? Is it towards the local government elections or general elections?
The first set of questions dealing with the anti-money laundering, it is the last week in this month of September that the team would be meeting with the Americas Region Review Group in Florida. And they would be meeting in the context of a report that had to be prepared and submitted by Guyana to a formal request by the ARRG for information. The ARRG submitted a document that called for a considerable amount of detailed information about the status quo with anti-money laundering and its Guyana's responses to its obligations under CFATF and FATF. The focus of the meeting then in September, at the end of this month, in Florida, would be reviewing Guyana's response or Guyana's responses to the ARRG submission. And that activity, I suppose, will be definitive because the ARRG would, armed with the results of that targeted review, submit their findings to I think this would be the October plenary of FATF. Again, where Guyana would be invited, and maybe a judgment of some definitiveness, something of worth, something of value, something of conclusion may yet be provided. In terms of the government's inclination, whether local government elections or general elections, I spoke of progress despite uncertainty. I should say that quite a bit of the decision making, or I did say the decision making was based on factors that both the government and the opposition had in their possession. I'll give an example to illustrate what I'm saying. Where local government elections are concerned, it does not seem that the efforts by GCOM and its activities in the electoral sequence, the calendar of activities, they're dedicated to local government elections. The claims and objections, they obviously are uniquely and exclusively related to general elections and not local government elections. And therefore, from the government's perspective, local government elections that falls outside of an commitment, an equal commitment to that demanded by the parliamentary opposition from GCOM is not a healthy way to start. Perhaps, and we are thinking that the parliamentary opposition, with 3 members on the commission, an electoral commission, may very well find it useful to advise the nation on their own understanding of GCOM's preparedness and readiness for local government as opposed to general and regional elections. We feel that that information, more than we feel, we know that that information is available and actually quite willing to provide information to suggest GCOM is perhaps much more prepared where general elections are concerned than for local government elections.
Just a quick follow-up. Sir, could you see how soon can we possibly hear from the administration with respect to whether it will be going through or allowing the process to follow through towards a no confidence motion, or whether the president will in fact be calling the election date before?
I am uncertain what rule exists or you imagine exists for the administration to play in a no objection motion. I don't believe there is any rule to play. We're summoned to a trial. If one were to examine it closely, we're summoned to a trial by the parliamentary opposition addressing charges that lead to a question of loss of confidence, no confidence. And I don't believe when you are summoned to a trial of that sort, one, you could say you're turning up. You don't have a choice. You have to participate. And we will be there to defend the track record of this administration in Parliament and in the rest of Guyana, regionally and internationally. We would be. So I don't believe that there is some escape valve or clause that is available to the administration. And we need to dispense with this notion that this administration, to counter the likely outcome of a no-confidence motion, would seek to introduce some snap elections. It wouldn't happen.